Australia is split in two. The north is staying wet enough for flooding problems, the south is dry enough for a fire risk. Let's break it down. These maps show Australia's rainfall in millimetres and how it compares to normal, looking back from January 1st to February 14th, then forward from February 15th to February 28th. We'll go region by region, north, interior, east, south, and west, and finish by what it means on the ground. Quick tease, watch out for the wet corridor in the northern half and that stubbornly dry in the southern fringe. Let's make sure these three rainfall views are crystal clear. First, total precipitation is the amount of rainfall that fell over a period measured in millimeters. Bigger numbers means more accumulated rainfall. Second, percentage of normal. That compares what fell to what typically falls for the same time of year. Really simple example, if a location normally gets 100 millimeters and it receives 200 millimeters, that's 200% of normal. If it only gets 25 millimeters, that's 25% of normal. Third, precipitation departure. It's similar but different. Precipitation departure is the difference from normal in millimeters. Using that same example, 200 millimeters minus 100 millimeters is a plus 100 millimeter departure, and a 25 minus 100 millimeters is a minus 75 millimeter departure. Why this matters right now? Late summer patterns can swing impacts really fast. Extra rain in tropical areas rises runoff, flood potential, while missing rain in the south during warm conditions keeps soils, vegetation, and fire weather sensitivity really elevated. Let's have a look at the big picture pattern here. Starting off with the Jan 1st to February 14th total rainfall map, the dominant feature is a classic wet season look. Very high totals across the far north, with pockets pushing into several 100 millimeter range, while much of the southern half is comparatively light. Now, flip to this percentage of normal for the same period. This sharpens the story. There's a large below normal belt across the south and southwest, while parts of the north and north interior come in well above normal. Then, moving to February 15th to February 28th forecast total rainfall, the north stays the main rainfall engine. Widespread meaningful totals continue, while the south largely stays in that lighter, more marginal amounts. Finally, looking at the forecast departure map, where the next 2 weeks are likely to reinforce this pattern. Above normal signals across parts of the northern interior, and near to below normal tendencies lingering across sections of the south and southwest. Let's do this in a regional breakdown. First, let's start with the tropical north, Kimberley, Top End, and Cape York. What's the headline? Well, still the wettest part of the country, and it's staying active. From January 1st to February 14th, totals across the far north commonly ran 300 to 600 plus millimeters, with local maxima higher, especially towards the northeast. Percentage of normal is often in this 150 to 200% range in a couple pockets, meaning this wasn't just wet, it was wetter than typical. For the forecast totals, they're broadly in the 120 to 200 millimeter range, with kind of some pockets even in that 200 to 300 millimeter range. Departure shows this well above normal, plus 40 to 100, plus 120 millimeters locally in higher spots. That keeps runoff and localized flooding sensitivity on the table, especially where soils are already wet and saturated. Moving to the northern interior corridor, inland, northern Queensland, a wet season feed continues inland and not just along the coast. In the early period maps, you can see a corridor where totals are more like 70 to 170 millimeters, but that percentage of normal has jumped from 150 to 250% of normal in places. So the inland rain has been effective relative to normal. In the forecast map, much of that corridor sits around 50 to 100 millimeters, with departures in the 40 to 80 millimeter category, where this blue shading is showing up. That supports short-term pasture and soil moisture recovery, but it also means isolated, heavy downpours can still cause sharp and local runoff responses. Moving to the east coast, Queensland coast and kind of northern New South Wales, the headline is mixed. It's not a clean wet or dry, but enough rain for a local disruption. In the observation map, parts of the east coast show meaningful totals, often in 100 to 200 millimeter range in those kind of coastal pockets, while percentage of normal varies from near normal to above normal in places. In the forecast, totals are commonly in the 50 to 90 millimeter range along parts of the coast, with a lot of areas near normal departures. A few small negative pockets closer to that New South Wales coast. What's the translation here? Well, rain still showing up, but it's not a uniform washout everywhere, and the impacts will be driven where storm trails or stall. Looking to the southern belt, South Australia, Victoria, southern New South Wales, and Tasmania, the deficit remains the story. The rainfall is still not doing enough work. In the Jan 1st, February 14th totals, many southern areas are still in single digits to teens, 0 to 15 millimeters. And that percentage of normal map shows widespread low precipitation, 10 to 40% of normal, and locally even lower. Looking ahead, totals are mostly between 10 and 30 millimeters, with some areas kind of closer to 30 to 50, but the departure map is mostly near zero and slightly negative, so it's still not seeing an increase in rainfall. Even if a few showers do come through, the large pattern still favors not enough rather than a true reset. Moving to southwest Western Australia, it's still on the dry side, kind of with limited relief signals. Early period totals are in that 5 to 20 millimeter range, and percentage of normal commonly sits in the teens to 30s across a wide area. In the forecast, totals again are modest, only 5 to 20 millimeters, and departures are leaning slightly negative in some areas. So the near-term outlook doesn't strongly break that dryness theme in the southwest corner. What are the likely impacts that we're seeing from the total rainfall for 2026 so far and looking into the forecast? Well, in the far north and the northern interior, continued rounds of heavy precipitation and storms are keeping flash flooding, road and transportation networks in disruption. And we're seeing increased elevated risks, especially where kind of rain repeats over the same catchment areas. In the southern belt and southwest, the persistence of below normal rainfall kind of supports ongoing moisture stress, and it can keep that fire weather sensitivity elevated on hot and windy days. Conditional changes: if a tropical system or just a deep surge of tropical moisture dips farther south than expected, the east coast and parts of the interior could go from a bit wet to messy real fast, with more widespread heavy rain, local flooding, and travel disruption. On the other side, if the south only really turns a corner, if it starts catching repeated frontal rainfall systems, one front might freshen things up for a few days, but it won't erase a multi-week shortfall that we've been seeing. You'd need several decent rainfall events close together for that deficit to meaningfully shrink. My name is Fergus from weathermapping.com, a Marcus Weather Inc. product. If you like this video and you want to see more, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Laters.